Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 750 of Geeks in Space. It's time for Tuesday Shenanigans. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and joining me from far, far away is Chris DeBona.
Hello, hello.
And Rob Roseboom.
Hi. I'm just trying to keep things consistent.
Right. If you insert extra latency, it'll just all balance out. Chris, where are you?
Lisbon, Portugal, Europe, Earth.
And what are you eating, in case they hear you chewing?
No, I'm done with the egg tarts and the meat. Handable meat. Portable meat? I don't know.
Portable
it's like
meat.
a little turnover with meat. It's very tasty.
You earned it. Well, let's see what we got on the news here. Well, I've got we have the King the King Charles hiring a piper. This is a weird one.
I threatened my 15-year-old. I was like, you're not royalty, but if you really, really want, this will help you get up in the morning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can swing it, why not? That's great. I mean, I don't have King Charles money, so
no,
we just pay the neighbor lady to scream outside our bedroom window at 7 o'clock every morning. That works okay. But...
when we were in San Francisco, we would have this homeless guy who would basically come by at 2 a.m. once a week, scream out loud, like right under our window, and then keep going.
The piper story said that he was woke up by his piper every day at 9 a.m. And at first I was like, 9 a.m.? Come on. Like, doesn't he have a job? And then I'm like, no, wait, that dude is like 72. Like, if you want to sleep in until 9 a.m. and you're in your 70s, do that.
Well,
I think when he's king, he has the option of making it 10 a.m.
I think you're right.
Now that he's ascended. But before that, he was just a prince. Princes get woken up at, all hours as the kingdom needs them. So,
they can't sleep through purple rain. It's really loud.
It's true. Yeah. His version of when corgis cry, it's very moving.
When corgis cry. Also, he can't turn his name into a symbol because they have to ultimately print that on the money.
Sure.
But I mean, waking up at like 7 a.m. is for people with alarm clocks, not people who have a
you're not feeling someone who's going to party like it's 1799 there, Malta.
Yeah. That's true. All right. Well, that's a funny one. Papa John's is being sued for. I mean,
what is this about?
This is just basically that they're doing the whatever mouse tracking analytics that you would absolutely do, that everybody does when they're developing software, but maybe you shouldn't be doing on your live app without disclosure. I mean, you like anytime you do like focus testing or whatever, you get to see like all the mouse clicks and the mouse tracking,
the hot spots,
or the lives, but they were doing that, and apparently they weren't disclosing it. And
were they like snooping for things they shouldn't have, like other apps that are running? Because we've seen some apps do that, Or,
I mean,
no, I think some people are just upset about them lingering too much on the meat lovers pizza, right? So they don't want to be lumped in with meat lover pizza lovers.
Right.
I'm a vegan. When I hovered over meat lovers, it was just because I had hit the desk.
That's right.
They're tired of explaining themselves.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess I assume that I'm being mouse tracked by literally everything that I click on. I mean, I know I shouldn't assume that, but I'm also realistic about what corporations are capable of doing.
Okay. I managed to load the article, and I have to tell you, when the tracking hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's a priori. I mean, you got to give the register credit.
Yes.
Good job, Brandon.
That's really neat.
Good job, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Vigliaro. At least they had an Italian doing this article, too.
I can't read it. My eyes are not strong enough to read at that font size. Yeah. I mean, my assumption is that they are doing exactly the normal things that everybody does, but you probably shouldn't do it, on your live shipping platform. You probably should at least disclose it. But oops. Let's see. Well, so here's the story about the Japanese islands. With all of the Ukraine-Russia war stuff, and today has been particularly sad, right? Like you're seeing pictures of bombed out playgrounds. I'm also well aware that the war of misinformation and who knows what's true and what's false when you're on the opposite side of the globe and you're relying on, all these other sources. But I gotta tell you, I love the trolling. So this story is that Japan has just basically I guess they've had these islands in dispute for some time between Japan and Russia, and Ukraine just sided with Japan. But then there was another story that I didn't actually post up, but there was the same general thing, which is that I guess the Duma said that any United States that want to join Russia, they're open to that. And I mean, it's the same logic, I guess, that let them have, the chunks of Crimea and Ukraine they want, right?
Yeah, I think that I talked to a friend who's connected in Ukraine, and I asked him if he was worried about the mobilization order.
You told this story last week.
Or so ago. I did.
You did.
Okay. I don't know if I told it on air though.
You did, and you told it in another call that we were on.
Gosh.
So
maybe I should stop talking.
Get some new material, Chris.
I need new material.
Yeah. No, I just like the trolling because bombs make me sad. But if you're just gonna troll people this way, that makes me happy. People who have iPhone 14s are so they added crash detection, right? So they can detect car accidents, and apparently that's pretty accurate.
Well, let's be clear. Now that they have it, they invented it.
I didn't say
it wasn't already in Android like 7 versions ago.
I said they added it. I didn't say they invented it.
They also invented assuming a roller coaster was a crash.
Well, they definitely nobody's going to take credit for that. But yep, apparently iPhone 14s can't distinguish between roller coasters and car crashes, which kind of makes sense.
Which wouldn't be that big a deal if it didn't automatically call 911.
Right. I gotta tell you though, there's a couple of things I have the watch, and on more than one occasion, I've done something that it's like we're gonna call 911 in a second. And I'm like, oh, no, stop, cancel, abort. And that's not even on roller coasters. That's just like holding down a button too long and stuff. So anyway, oops. It is a reminder though, I guess. Yeah, that a lot of this AI stuff where they're like machine learning, like, oh, we've got 1 billion hours of what these motions look like. I mean, at the end of the day, you are just making a super educated guess, and when you scale that out over 100 million users, you're gonna make some mistakes.
Yeah, that's why they should include like a roller coaster mode. Like they have airplane mode. They should have a roller coaster mode. You can just flip. Maybe all amusement parks, because it'd probably do it on the log flume too. You don't want to specifically just target roller coasters.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah. Or tilt-a-whirls.
Right? Yeah.
Or like the Tower of Terror.
Well, it's
bumper cars.
Or the cinema job.
Bumper cars.
Or bumper cars.
Yeah.
I mean, you are getting into car wrecks.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
I like
the idea. Geofence around all.
I mean, they'll get it, right? They'll just like, oh, we'll record an extra 1,000 hours of motion through roller coasters, and we'll get that now. Like shouldn't be that hard. But again, they're always going to be a little off. It's like when you see all the driving, the self-driving car stuff. Like, there are literally an infinite number of events that it can occur when one is driving a car, and the machine learning thing hasn't seen enough of every common event to know what to do. It makes sense, but still.
I mean, honestly, just seeing how people drive normally, they just have to be a little better than them, and that's going to be a huge win for society.
That's and with the self-driving car thing, it always comes back to like, people are killing a lot of people in cars. All you have to do is be like 1% better, and you're saving like thousands of people a year. So just be 1% better. But, you know, don't call 911 on roller coasters. That's a good example too, because even like when you're on a roller coaster, you're vibrating and shaking and stuff, so you're not going to necessarily get any like haptic feedback. You're not looking at your phone, hopefully. That's a bad example, because if it happens,
it's a very bad example.
It's a worst case example for them, frankly, because that's.
You know. It's funny because I was literally in an Uber coming back to the hotel, and the car next to me starts rolling backwards and hits the lady who was behind him. He was on a video call, and he didn't even hang up his video call. He's just like, meh. And it's like,
but that's how they do it in Portugal.
That's probably why you got into an accident.
That's how they do it in Portugal. It's very like how in the UK you drive on the wrong side of the road. In Portugal, you drive backwards and into the car zooming behind you.
Well, zooming. Yeah.
All right, so somebody got Doom running in Notepad.
That's amazing.
And I don't know if this one's going to be able to have you render the video at our massive interstellar differences in location between our locations. But yeah, it's exactly what you think. They're basically just using ASCII art to render Doom, but they're doing it at 60 frames per second, and it looks kind of neat. It does flicker a lot, so I don't know. They're gonna have to figure out how to double buffer that, I guess.
I'll have to check it later.
Yeah.
Hey, viewers and listeners, you can go visit it yourself and
That's
imagine
right.
it.
Use your imagination.
Through the power of imagination. It's like Stable Diffusion, but better.
Ooh. I actually did a bunch of Stable Diffusions. I can share them into the channel. I took some random picture of Kat, and then I just started running it through all different things. Like, here's you rendered as Lego minifigs, and here's you rendered as all these different things. She was unimpressed, and they weren't particularly impressive, but it's fun.
Yeah, I'm in a hotel that was designed in Stable Diffusion. So
yeah, very well
it's
organized.
Not quite a hotel.
It's all liminal.
It's something.
So
I haven't found 14 eyes under the desk yet, but I'm sure they're there.
At least they're symmetrical.
Sure.
There's a story going on. I guess a new variant on the Portuguese or Prince scammer. Or is it Nigerian? I can't remember.
The Nigerian prince.
A woman was scammed by a Russian astronaut who needed money to come back to Earth.
Like I feel terrible that, you know, this was an older woman as well. That you know, people are taking advantage of people who just don't know any better. But on the other hand, I can't help but be reminded of one of my favorite scenes in Full Metal Jacket, where the drill instructor finds an unlocked footlocker and is like, if it wasn't for assholes like you, there'd be no thievery in this world. Right? And this woman was convinced she needed to help this guy get from the space station back to Earth to pay for his landing fees and to pay for a rocket to send him back home. And if you think that is what happens to astronauts, you are going to be scammed every day of your life.
Right.
You need a handler at that point.
As you know, I have elder care as part of my life, and the scams that I've seen float around, like there's the door-to-door people knocking just for you to like join their environmental cause, but also there's like people who go around with like hot asphalt and they're like, "Hey, I have hot asphalt. I'll give it to you really cheap." And then you watch like Kit Boga, and Chris, you're the one. You're the one that got me hooked on Kit Boga. Like I watch that guy a lot.
Yeah, he's great.
But there are two things about Kit Boga that I find absolutely amazing. The first is that he's been developing an AI to just sort of can responses, and with the goal of, and it's actually kind of getting there. Like he's now at the point now where he can stay on the phone for about 15 minutes, and he's managed to get bank account numbers from the scammers, because ultimately a lot of them need bank accounts for you to transfer the money to. That just slays me.
And then he shuts them down, the banks.
Yeah. He's got like connections in the banking industry, so he's like, here, shut this account down. But the thing that never ceases to amaze me is that based on the fact that these scammers, like the shenanigans that they're trying to pull, like to an objective brain, you look at this and it's like nobody could possibly ever fall for that. But the honest to goodness truth is that you can tell based on the fact that these people are pushing forward and still trying to follow this line, that it does work, and that there are people who will get in their car, drive to a store, buy gift cards, and read back the numbers to a stranger.
Yeah, one of the things I saw, you know, you look at these scam emails and you think, who would fall for this? Nothing is spelled right. It's all in horrible English and not official. And that's actually like a weeding out process. There's a reason those things exist. Because if someone can overlook all of that stuff, they are more likely to believe what you say, you know?
It's a reverse IQ test.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah. That stuff's amazing.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because, you know, I'm currently on a space station and I could use a couple bucks to come back to Earth, guys.
All right.
Just saying.
All right. I'll sell these 2 bottles of Picard wine here. And we'll send it your way.
Picard wine, huh? That's some fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 345 was a pretty good year.
Just getting it to go back in time was pretty expensive to begin with.
Yeah, probably corked it though, you know. Made it taste bad.
So we've got another a troll story from Ukraine, which this one made me sad actually. But 15,000 Ukrainians have decided to throw an orgy if Russia deploys nuclear weapons. I mean, that seems altogether like a silly story.
Well,
but like,
I what I don't understand is what's the connection? Like, if you eat a lot of bananas, you know, it can replace the potassium receptors, so that if you do get nuked, you're in better shape. That's how those pills work, right?
I think this is more like a make love not war kind of situation.
Or it doesn't matter how many of us you kill, we're going to create many more of them. Oh, Vladimir, I don't know.
I guess it's hard to know, because
it just seems like, you know, if you, I don't know that these folks would actually need an excuse to have an orgy. Is all I'm saying.
Well, that's the other thing too,
have their
right?
orgy, you know?
They could just go to like a furry con, which, as far as I can tell, is just a thinly veiled excuse.
Well, it's like a furry con, except for without the costumes. So
yeah. Okay. So we had another one here about a Dutch employee.
I thought that this was the same story as the Papa John's story earlier. Like Papa John's employee had gotten fired. I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, this is
not that.
No, this is just somebody got fired because they turned off their webcam, and their boss is making them keep their webcam on, and they were unsurprisingly not thrilled about leaving a web camera on in their private home for, you know, the bulk of their waking hours. We're going to see a lot more of these stories, especially now, because employers are going to want leverage to try to get people back in the office. And it'll be interesting. This one has, I guess, the added wrinkle of it being about the Dutch. Of course, the most naturally untrustworthy of people, the Dutch.
Untrusting, I guess.
Untrustworthy.
No. It was a Dutch person who was fired by a U.S. firm. Okay.
No, I'm just saying you should never trust the Dutch. We are truly an evil group of people.
Oh yeah, your people are.
Yep, my people.
Scandinavians. Yeah.
Scandinavians?
Like you personally were Scandinavians. So it's my understanding that you all started the Dutch East Indies Company, right? And you killed all those people.
I mean, I don't mean to brag, but my ancestors.
I mean, I'm just saying, maybe I wouldn't trust you if you said, "Hey, Chris, I want to buy some spices, some cinnamon from you." I would probably want your webcam on.
You got a sweet trade lined up. Yeah, there's too much dark humor that lies down that path.
All I'm saying is the Batavia wasn't that bad.
It's like they gave those people a return trip to London.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
really.
They got them on land.
I mean, they got to land.
Everything's fine.
Those of you who haven't read the book Batavia by Fitzsimmons, you should read it or watch the documentary.
Yeah, there's
Batavia. It was at the Sydney Maritime Museum. It's like the only museum exhibit that has like a content warning and don't let your kids watch this movie on the way in.
Yay!
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they definitely needed a HR person on that boat.
I think they hate the HR person.
They might have.
I mean, we've all had HR people, and when you're going to make the choice about who you have to eat first, they're going to be pretty high on the list because they're not usually adding all that much to the team.
Well, let's have a performance review session to determine who we're going to eat.
If they were just eating people because they were starving, that was one thing. It was a little bit more than that.
All right. Well, I don't know anything about it.
It was a little more than that, right?
All right.
I mean, they could have used some 360 reviews before choosing who to arm and or eat.
You've never read that book or watched the documentary?
I don't know anything about this. All right.
You should. It's really heinous.
I only watched the first episode of the Dahmer show, and I had to get out of that. I was like, nope, this is stupid.
No, Batavia is the only one that said content warning and then an asterisk indicating all of them.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's not good. Chris, tell me about the radioactive waste melter. I don't know anything about
this. Let's see if my bandwidth stands up to this. So, when you think of how to get rid of nuclear waste,
I usually figure ship it to Chris's house.
You can ship it to my house. You can, as a nation, we have considered a lot of options. Whether it was launching it into the sun, and we're like, well, what if we want it later? And we don't really know what it's going to do to the sun, although probably not much. And it's expensive. That's an expensive way to get rid of stuff. And then we thought about subduction, putting it literally in, trying to find a way to have it be slurped back into the mantle. And then we thought about Yucca Mountain in Nevada and just put it underground.
Everybody liked that idea.
I don't know if they've opened it yet. Let's just say that.
It's been like they've been developing that like my entire life.
Yeah, and people have been pushing back our entire
It's almost as bad as how long it took them to build the SLS.
Well, so the problem is, so we're still generating high and low level nuclear waste through our plants and through the development of medical stuff. So what do you do with it? Well, right now, most of the time, they put them in big old rusty buckets in cooling ponds. And cooling ponds crack or the buckets rust. And it's actually not a great way to do it. But so what we proposed a long time ago, and now they're finally turning it on, is basically vitrification, where basically you mix the nuclear waste inside a glass process, right? That way, it won't get too close to each other, and the glass isn't a neutron attenuator, so you're unlikely to get critical situations. And so then you can put it either right there on site in stacks. You can move it around a forklift.
You can make a necklace out of it.
Put it in a Yucca Mountain. What's that?
You can make a necklace out of it.
You might, sure. Let's go.
Out of the little beads.
So
There's
it's
pictures of
actually
the little
a fine way
beads.
of dealing with the problem because, well, yeah, that's like the starting medium of the class, right? Or is that the post? Because usually it's making the blocks of
the article had pictures of little glass beads. I figure you could make jewelry out of it. People, you go to craft fairs, like somebody's going to buy radioactive jewelry.
Sure, uranium glass.
It might be the same lady who tried to help that poor Russian astronaut get back to Earth, but she'll buy the radioactive necklace beads.
Well, she needs some extra money for her boyfriend to get back to Earth. So,
well, plus she has to pay the ambulance fees for all the roller coaster 9/11 rides that she keeps having to pay for.
You would not believe what poor gas mileage a rocket gets. You know,
yeah.
You think gas prices? You think it's a lot to fill up your tank right now with gas prices? Try to fill up a rocket.
Right. You try to fill up an SRB, that costs more than well, that costs millions of dollars.
Does it? I thought that the actual propellant cost was somewhere close to the range of like $500,000 per. Well, for the solid rocket booster, sure. For the liquid fuels, I heard it was a lot cheaper. You know.
I thought the SRB. I guess I would have no. I have no measement.
SRBs are expensive as hell. Basically, it's one big rubber matrix.
Right.
It's like a rubberized with the nitric dexid. Go watch a Scott Manley video. Those are expensive and complicated.
Fly safe.
Yeah, and you have to have the whole slurry, and you have to have the hole in the middle of it. It's like, how do you make sure you get your hole in the right place? You know?
It's almost like this was probably not the best idea, and maybe we should not be continuing to spend $1 trillion to continue it. But what do we know? We're only.
Are you talking about the SLS or the vitrification?
Yes. Well, I'm talking about the SRB.
Yes.
Because you gotta get reelected, so you gotta spread that love around. It's not like our government.
When the Columbia yeah. When the Columbia blew up, was that a liquid or a solid?
That was on the way back down.
The flaw.
That was on the way back down. So.
Oh no, I'm not. Sorry, the first one. With the O-rings, were the O-rings on the SRBs or on the?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to. I don't remember. I think you're right though.
I only remember the image.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Do we have any media worth discussing? I watched the first episode of the Dahmer thing on Netflix. That was no waste of time.
And you really liked it, huh?
Yeah. Hated it.
So what did you think was a waste of time about it?
It was just boring.
Oh, what did you think it was going to be about?
I just was hoping it would be. I just hoped it
roller
would be
coasters.
Yeah, roller coasters and calling it
a buddy cop movie with Jeffrey Dahmer, and then at the end, oh no, you're a serial killer.
I mean, maybe it does something more in the other 9 episodes. I ain't gonna know.
I just watched the first one too, but nothing about it was like boring or a surprise to me. I don't know that I'm gonna watch the rest.
Yeah,
it's just a documentary about Jeffrey Dahmer, right?
But it's not even exactly a documentary.
Dahmer, I'm gonna need your badge and your gun and a fork. Yeah.
It's a drama, a dramatization or whatever. Sure, fine. That's just not my jam. I was hoping that it would have something to say to me, but it did not.
Okay.
I'm just picturing the chief is actually played by John Wayne Gacy, and he's like, Captain Gacy's always coming down on me for working too hard.
Maybe that's the hook.
Yep.
Everyone but the good cop is a serial killer.
He's played by Quicksilver from the Avengers. Evan Peters.
Mm-hmm. I always think of him as the American Horror Story kid. But.
Yeah, see, I only watched the first 2 seasons of American Horror Story, and he's really good in those, but he's always Quicksilver to me. I don't know, I've seen that movie a lot.
He was good as Quicksilver. But, so now imagine if Jeffrey Dahmer had, the Flash Quicksilver powers.
Ooh.
You could have a crossover between the universes and Flashpoint with Dahmer.
This seems like a great way to go. Is there any media that anybody recommends? Anything to keep me busy, keep me occupied? Just no. I haven't watched this week's House of the Dragon yet.
Watched about half of it before I fell asleep last night.
Me either.
That's probably what I'm gonna do when I'm done.
Are there dragons in it?
to the their dragon eggs
Ooh.
in it up to the point I saw, but no dragon.
There's been more dragons in House of the Dragon so far than I think that there was like in all of Game of Thrones at this point.
Well, for sure.
There is precious little dragon in Game of Thrones. Well, do we have anything else that we want to hit up today, or is it time for us to go our separate ways?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Chris DePona. Have fun in Portugal.
Yeah.
I was Rob Commander Taco Malta. That was Geeks in Space. Bye-bye.